Stephanie White is actively sabotaging Caitlin Clark's career, and we're all just watching and nothing's happening. They're running a ball screen. Why on God's green earth is Aaliyah Boston not setting the ball screen? So if they switch, you got a big and Jonquel Jones switching onto Caitlin Clark. That's a mismatch. Or if they're in drop coverage, Caitlin Clark's open for three. Why is Lexi...
What happened with the Indiana Fever in their 109-102 loss to the New York Liberty raises serious questions about head coach Stephanie White's game plan. This was not simply a close 7-point loss to a strong championship contender. The bigger issue was how Caitlin Clark was used throughout the game. Indiana had a major opportunity to strengthen its position near the top of the league, but the offensive strategy seemed to work against its own biggest strength. From the opening tip, White moved Clark away from her usual role as the team's main ball handler and placed her on the wing as a spot-up player. For much of the first half and well into the third quarter, while Indiana fell behind by as many as 9 points, Clark spent extended stretches away from the ball instead of directing the offense. At the same time, 6'5" center Aaliyah Boston was regularly bringing the ball up and starting possessions from the top of the key. That decision took the ball out of the hands of one of the league's most dangerous passers and playmakers while asking a center to operate as the primary offensive organizer. The result was predictable. Indiana's spacing suffered, the team lost some of its transition rhythm, and New York was able to focus more attention on the paint instead of worrying about Clark creating plays with the ball in her hands. Looking at the tape, the numbers, and the final score, it is fair to question whether this unusual approach cost the Fever a real chance to win the game.
Bozo bonehead, man, get Caitlin Clark the hell away from his clown-ass organization. We gotta get into this game, man. Y'all know Caitlin Clark played small forward for the entire first half of the game, all the way until about 4 minutes left in the third quarter when the Indiana Fever were down by 9. The girl was playing small forward. Aaliyah Boston brought the ball up the whole first 3.5 quarters. This is ridiculous. This is malpractice. Stephanie White should be...
Taking the ball away from your best playmaker can disrupt an entire offense, and that is exactly what appeared to happen for Indiana during the first 3 quarters. Caitlin Clark was largely kept out of the main decision-making action, which slowed the ball movement, hurt the team's spacing, and made the offense lose its rhythm. When Clark finally received the ball, she often had to create something on her own because there were few designed plays putting her in strong attacking positions. If your top playmaker is forced to rely on one-on-one basketball just to get involved, the problem may be with the system rather than the player. The situation also created a difficult cycle for Clark mentally and tactically. With other players holding the ball and very little quick ball movement, Clark appeared to feel pressure to shoot within the first few seconds of the possession, because passing the ball away often meant she would not see it again before the shot clock became an issue. That led to rushed attempts, contested jumpers, and forced decisions instead of letting her create naturally within the offense. Among the Fever players, Sophie Cunningham appeared to be one of the few consistently looking to get Clark the ball in rhythm, while much of the rest of the offense seemed disconnected and focused on individual possessions.
Caitlin Clark not involved the first 3 quarters. She got to go one-on-one over and over and over to try to get involved. Nobody passed her the ball not named Sophie Cunningham. This shit is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. Caitlin Clark forced the jack-up shots in the first 5 seconds of the shot clock because she knows, God forbid, if she passes the ball to anybody, it's impossible for her to get the ball back at any point in a given possession. It's ridiculous. Bro, Stephanie White played Aaliyah Boston at point guard for 3.5 quarters.
While Stephanie White was focused on using an unusual frontcourt-led setup to start the offense, Indiana was struggling badly to defend the paint. Jonquel Jones and Brianna Stewart took full advantage of the Fever's weaknesses inside, combining for a huge impact on both ends. Jones finished with 19 points and 10 rebounds, while Stewart added 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. At the same time, Aaliyah Boston had a surprisingly quiet night on the glass, playing more than 30 minutes but finishing with just 3 rebounds. That lack of rebounding put Indiana in a difficult position, giving New York extra chances and allowing the Liberty to control the interior. What made it even more concerning was that Caitlin Clark, despite spending much of the game away from her normal position and dealing with defensive pressure, finished with more rebounds than Boston. When a team's lead guard is collecting more rebounds than its 6'5" starting center in an important game, it raises serious questions about positioning, effort, and the overall defensive plan. The bench decisions also created problems, with Monique Billings struggling after entering the game. New York repeatedly attacked her on defense, taking advantage of missed assignments, dribble penetration, and rotation mistakes. Instead of providing the defensive stability Indiana needed, the lineup change became another area the Liberty could target and exploit. Interview. The most frustrating part of the game was seeing clear evidence of what Indiana could do when Caitlin Clark was finally allowed to run the offense. Late in the third quarter, with the Fever down by 9 and in danger of losing control of the game, Stephanie White finally put the ball back in Clark's hands. Indiana immediately picked up the pace, moved away from its slow half-court approach, and began using simple high pick-and-roll actions with Clark and Aaliyah Boston. The impact was almost instant. Clark attracted 2 defenders, found Boston with a sharp pass for an easy finish, pushed the ball in transition to create a backdoor opportunity for Sophie Cunningham, and connected with Boston again on the short roll. In less than 2 minutes, Indiana erased New York's 9-point advantage and turned the game into a 2-point contest. That short stretch showed how dangerous the Fever could be when Clark had freedom to play fast, attack space, and use the pick and roll. But just when Indiana had all the momentum, White moved away from that successful formula, taking Clark out and slowing the offense down again. The transition game disappeared, the ball movement dropped, and New York quickly responded with a run that restored control. Indiana had just shown the exact approach that was working, yet the team moved away from it at the most important moment of the game.
Allen, she came off the bench and played good. Michaela Timpson played good, 10.6 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston had 22 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. You getting $6 million. You get $6 million. $6 million, and you getting 3 rebounds in 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, you got 3 rebounds. That's 1 rebound every 10 minutes. Aaliyah Boston, are you serious? How does Caitlin Clark have more rebounds than you? How does Caitlin Clark have more rebounds than you? You getting 1 rebound every 10 minutes. It's ridiculous, man.
The final box score only makes the questions around Indiana's coaching decisions even stronger. Caitlin Clark finished with 21 points on 9 of 18 shooting, 7 assists, and just 2 turnovers. Considering she spent much of the game away from her normal ball handling role and often had to create from broken possessions, that production stands out. Kelsey Mitchell scored 25 points on 9 of 15 shooting, but she also committed 4 turnovers while recording 4 assists. That makes the criticism of Clark's ball security much harder to defend in this particular game, especially when Indiana's larger problem appeared to be stagnant ball movement. The bigger concern, however, was Stephanie White's rotation management. Lexi Hull, who had provided strong perimeter defense, energy, and reliable shooting during Indiana's better stretches, received only 12 scattered minutes and finished without a point. An inconsistent role can make it difficult for any player to build confidence, especially when some players are quickly pulled after mistakes while others remain on the floor despite defensive breakdowns and poor rebounding. That kind of inconsistency can also create frustration within a team. Indiana did get some valuable production from its bench, with Sophie Cunningham scoring 10 tough points, while Michaela Timpson and Masha Hines-Allen battled hard around the basket despite the team's overall struggles.
Played Caitlin Clark's style in the third quarter. When we play, bro, the second we didn't run pick and roll with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston all first half. We finally ran it toward the end of the third quarter. You know what happened? Caitlin Clark found Sophie Cunningham, backdoor layup. We run pick and roll with Caitlin and Aaliyah, layup for Aaliyah. We ran it again with Caitlin and Aaliyah, layup for Aaliyah. Like, bro, why were we not doing this the whole game? We went from being down 9. First of all, when Caitlin Clark went out of the game, we was only down 2. When she comes back in, we down 9. We start playing her style, getting up and down, pushing the ball, pick and roll. We cut the lead to 2 again. Just like
a championship level team like the New York Liberty will punish every major mistake, and Indiana learned that the hard way late in the game. New York did not even need a huge performance from Sabrina Ionescu, who finished with only 12 points and went 1 of 5 from 3-point range. Instead, Leonie Fibish became a major problem for the Fever in the second half, scoring 20 points while adding 5 assists and 5 rebounds and knocking down her perimeter opportunities. Whenever Indiana missed a defensive assignment or gave New York an easy transition chance after a poor offensive possession, Fibish and Brianna Stewart were ready to take advantage. The Liberty looked organized and confident because their system consistently put their players in positions that matched their strengths, while Indiana often appeared disconnected and unsure of its direction. This defeat also raises bigger concerns because it follows a worrying trend for the Fever. Not long ago, Indiana was sitting comfortably around the 3rd seed and looked capable of challenging the league's best teams. Now, if the current issues continue, the Fever could drop toward the 6th or 7th seed and potentially face a difficult first-round road matchup against a top opponent. A team with a player as talented as Caitlin Clark cannot afford to limit her impact by keeping the ball out of her hands. If Stephanie White does not adjust the offensive system and restore Clark to a more central role, Indiana's front office may eventually have to consider major changes before its opportunity to compete for a championship slips away.
It is garbage, man. Get into the stats, man. Caitlin Clark, 21 points, 9 of 18, 21 points and 7 assists. The girl has 7 assists and didn't even play point guard today. She played point guard for like 1 quarter today. Barely. Not even that. And she had 7 assists. 2 turnovers. Kelsey Mitchell had her 25 points, 9 of 15, 4 assists, 4 turnovers. I wonder if the turnover police are going to talk about that. 4 assists, 4 turnovers. Caitlin Clark, 7 assists, 2 turnovers. Where's the turnover police? Lexi Hall might as well not play anymore. Y'all have ripped any confidence that girl has had.
A championship Indiana basketball fans have already waded through too many disappointing seasons, so watching another promising year get held back by coaching decisions is understandably frustrating. The path forward does not need to be complicated. Play faster, create better spacing, get Caitlin Clark involved from the opening tip, and allow your best playmaker to control the offense. The Fever need to find that identity quickly before the postseason opportunity becomes harder to recover. Now the big question is whether Indiana's front office should consider moving on from Stephanie White as head coach, or whether she can make the necessary adjustments and turn this offense around before the playoffs. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, subscribe to WNBA Pro, turn on notifications, and share the video with other basketball fans who want to see accountability from the Fever.
Coach made the decision to play the center at point guard for the first 3 quarters of this game, pretty much. She decided to have Aaliyah Boston play point guard. Aaliyah Boston brought the ball up the floor more than anybody else in this game. More than Kelsey Mitchell, more than Caitlin Clark, more than Sophie. Shout out to Sophie, man. Sophie, you passed the ball to Caitlin and you knocked down a couple threes. Sophie had 10 off the bench. Sophie and Maisha Hines-Allen look like our only playable players off the bench. It just is what it is. This Indiana Fever team's not good, but Stephanie White made the decision to play Aaliyah Boston at point guard and play Caitlin Clark at small forward. This is a joke, man. This is a joke. Caitlin Clark